A little gratitude goes a long way. For some context, the house that we are currently in, there's nothing wrong with the house. The house is great. The neighborhood, though, is not something that I enjoy being in at all, and I have wanted to move house ever since we moved into this house. I've wanted to leave as soon as we arrived, and every day since. We just renewed the contract for another year today. And that was a personal choice. I chose to stay, which kind of blows my mind and is also giving a little bit of conflict, I guess, to my ego. I'm not really sure how to feel about this after 2 years of complaining constantly about how much I couldn't wait to leave. It was me that decided to stay. I credit some of this to these little cards that looked like they were written by a 10-year-old. About 2 or 3 months ago, forget exactly, but I got really sick of feeling like crap and feeling depressed and also I had to start accepting my situation. I had to start accepting where I was and the fact that we were locked down. The lockdowns had been stretching on for infinite time at that point, and I needed to accept where I was and either continue to wallow in how much I didn't like it, or find something positive about it. I get a lot out of going to the dog park that's just down the road. I've met a lot of people in the neighborhood through the dog park. I've even made some friends, including next door neighbors and people that live just one street down. So that has been providing a sense of community for me, and especially as the lockdowns continue to extend, people were way more willing and open and enthusiastic to engage with just about anyone and everyone. The depth of conversation between all the dog walkers started to get a lot more satisfying and a lot more real compared to the usual kind of surface level conversations that we would normally have. But these little cards really, really shook up my mindset about living here. I was walking along one day and it was a pretty dreary kind of rainy day, and I've been really interested in agriculture recently, the last couple of years, and particularly in the last, I guess, 6 months or so, I've been really, really dabbling in home gardening and like utilizing the space I have around me and seeing what I can do to create my own little mini homestead situation. I've been researching that a lot, and the more that I learn about it and the more that I become interested in it, the more people's gardens start to jump out of me. So we live in a pretty dreary working class, semi-industrial kind of neighborhood. There's a lot of industrial stuff nearby. This neighborhood was exceptionally blue collar up until quite recently, and it's just started to get really heavily developed. A lot of cheaper, nasty, shiny new townhouses going up everywhere. Beside the point. But no, not beside the point, actually, quite relevant. So it's quite, it's very concrete heavy. There's a lot of just slabs of concrete, and it's dull. It's not very inspiring. Sort of main roads all around us, so it doesn't feel great. The air quality's not amazing. So when people, and there's a certain apathy, I suppose, that people have towards their houses when living in a situation like this. Like, there's not a whole lot of, I suppose, motivation to create something beautiful in a place that is so drab. So it really stands out when people have cultivated these gorgeous, thriving gardens. They really, really do stand out. And I started noticing on my walks that the gardens that people had put a bunch of effort into, and were clearly quite proud of their the aesthetic that they were, not just the aesthetic they were presenting, but also in bringing life into their yards and into the neighborhood. I noticed how much that was impacting my mood when I would walk past those places, and how much it was brightening up everything and brightening up the area around it, and just a real contrast to everything else that was around. And I started feeling really grateful for those gardens. I started to understand how much our property, like if you live in the suburbs and it's tightly packed streets, your property is something that it's not just you that's seeing it and enjoying it. It's the whole neighborhood. Anybody that goes past your house is seeing that, and whatever they see creates some sort of atmosphere. So if you create something beautiful and lush and teeming with life, like a productive veggie patch especially, like what an example to set to the neighborhood. And like what inspiration. So that's really doing a service to the people around you as well as yourself. Like it's obviously more for yourself than anybody else, but it does actually ripple out, and it does impact people's moods, as I experienced firsthand. And because I was in this place of it was dull. It was dull. I decided I needed to try something, and these gardens were kind of gardens were just elevating my mood, and I just wanted to thank, I really wanted to thank the people whose homes they were, and who had put all that time and energy and love and care into cultivating their gardens. The more I read about this, the more I understand that it is quite an undertaking, and you really do have to be dedicated to it and care about it. Yeah, and I just felt like I wanted to thank those people. Now, I wasn't going to go and knock on anyone's door or ring their doorbell and say thank you for your garden. I also didn't know any of these people from the dog park, or if I did, then, well, I wasn't aware that that was their homes. So I decided to do little letterbox drops. Now this is coming up reverse on my camera. I'm not sure if you're seeing it as reverse, but yeah, little thank you cards with a note in there. I guess, yeah, I'll just read it out. I'll read it out. Hello, with a smiley face in the O. I'm a local who regularly passes by your home on my daily dog walks. I wanted to express my gratitude to you for cultivating such a glorious garden. It is a beautiful contribution to our community, brightening the neighborhood and lifting spirits, particularly during this odd moment in history we are sharing. This positive vibes send small ripples of goodness into the world every day, a tiny miracle. On behalf of the birds, bees, bugs, and I'm sure many other local residents, thank you. Now this felt really good to write out, and it felt even better to slip into people's letterboxes. I reckon I dropped a total of probably about 7 or 8 into people's letterboxes, and imagining, like, I know that if I went to my letterbox and there was just this anonymous little card that was thanking me for something that I did without looking to be thanked, without any expectation of gratitude. If I found this little card, that would be my whole day made. That would probably be my whole week made, just knowing that someone out there, yeah, took the time and was that moved by something that I've just been doing from the goodness of my heart. Oh yeah, just doing something that I would have been doing anyway, that I think that would really, really brighten up my day. And because it was lockdowns, and because we are in a dreary neighborhood and all that, I just thought it might be this nice little gesture to brighten up someone's day. And thinking about their day being brightened up my day. And they do say that you should give without any expectation of receiving, but it's almost impossible to give and not receive reward, at least. So there's like, it's a bit selfish, right? It's bi-directional, but it's a little bit selfish, because I guess, like, I genuinely did want to brighten up people's days. I genuinely did want to generate that sort of positivity for them, but at the same time, I knew for sure how good it was going to make me feel, and that provided extra incentive. Sure enough, dropping off those cards it felt great in the moment. It felt great, the anticipation of coming up to that letterbox, dropping it in. It felt great after I dropped it in, and there was a warm buzz that I got to keep. Well, basically it hasn't left me. It hasn't left me. And now every time I walk past those gardens, I'm also reminded that someone in there saw my note. And then I get to imagine what their reaction was. And some of these gardens are now, like, we're coming into summer, and as the spring has come and gone, some of these gardens have flourished into even greater displays of grandeur. And I'd like to hope that, I guess, people are even more attentive and appreciative of their own efforts in their own garden, after seeing that a stranger in the neighborhood really liked it. And it absolutely did help to kickstart me getting out of that rut, out of that funk that I was in. The ongoing effects, so other than the fact that I walk past these gardens and it cheers me up, and it's also just makes me happy knowing that was something I did, it helped me to just start to see everything in a way more positive light, all of my surroundings. And yes, I still have anxiety attacks, like, constantly when the noise gets too much. I really do struggle here. There's a lot of reasons why we decided to stay, and ultimately it was the right decision. So yeah, I still struggle with the neighborhood, but I'm no longer fanging to leave. I'm no longer just sitting here complaining about where I am. Instead, I found things to appreciate, and after doing these letterbox drops, I started to notice more things that I appreciated, and I started meeting and interacting with more people and getting more out of those interactions and being more willing to really give more of myself to this community. And if I'm going to be here, then I may as well enjoy myself. I may as well find something to love about it. And I believe I have started doing this. I know I've started doing this. I can feel it in myself, and I know what sort of experiences I'm having out there now. I just hope this this energy and this momentum kind of carries on into the next year. I've got another 12 months in this place, so I know what to do now to help myself accept where I am, and that is just to look around and find what does make me happy here. I know that can sound really futile depending on your situation. But I promise you, this gratitude thing, there's a reason people keep banging on about it, and there's a reason it keeps being recommended as like one of the foundational practices of getting yourself grounded and happy. And it has positive effects not just for you, but everyone around you. Yeah, little acts of gratitude, they do go such a long way. So think about maybe as well, there's like a watering your garden metaphor in this too, definitely. I thought this was going to be a super quick, like 5-minute talk, but here we are, ranting again. There's definitely a watering your garden kind of metaphor in here too. This whole time we've been here, I've wanted to throw in the towel and leave the second I could. And it meant that I wasn't putting any effort at all into making this place feel good for me. And the second that I did actually just stop and put in a little bit of, just the tiniest bit of effort, then the rest became easier. And then it all just sort of happened by itself. And I think that's maybe like a little bit like a garden. Like if things aren't growing in your garden, if your veggie patch is dead, you're not just gonna walk away and establish a whole new veggie patch, are you? No, you're gonna try and regenerate it. You're gonna try and make it productive again. You're gonna try and bring it to life. And this is something that I'm learning carries on in any number of ways. So yeah, this house, no, wasn't a fan. We didn't put any effort into even decorating it properly because we thought we were just gonna be here for like 2 seconds and then we would leave. And that 2 seconds is now turning into 3 years. And it's time to make this place our own. And once we make it our own and we really put our own touches on it, then it'll feel a lot better. And it's the same with relationships. Maybe not all relationships, but if there's something that you're not getting from a human in your life, have a talk to them. Just find out where they would actually be willing to establish new habits or try new methods of communication or try new activities, whatever it may be. I think it's been really normalized that if something doesn't feel right, or no, sorry, that's not quite the right way of putting it. I think it's just been normalized that if something just isn't going your way, then you can just ditch it. You can just move on to the next thing. And I've certainly had that sort of mentality about a lot of things before. I guess my stick-to-itiveness is not too bad. I should probably give myself more credit, but this has been a good experience because, well, it's just completely changed my outlook on where I am and why I'm here. And I mean in this neighborhood specifically. I found meaning in experiences that I've had while I've been here, and I just like to look at everything as if it's magic. That just makes life a lot more enjoyable to get through, I think. And so I just like to look at it as like, right, well, this thing happened and I met those people and then this thing happened and I guess I was meant to be here for a reason, and I guess this was a pivotal aspect of my journey. And yeah, if you can spread a little joy and a little love along the way, then you've made the world a little bit of a better place. I think, at the very least, your own world. I think that's about all I'd like to say about these little yellow cards today. But the watering your garden metaphor could probably expand out into something else. So we shall see. Hope you are having a lovely time of day wherever you are.